You see this guy flying in a suit, he looks cool, yeah, but it's like, are you going to help us out with the gentrification issue we're dealing with right now?
And
You know,
truth,
and
if you know Lagos people, that's exactly what they're like.
that is the exact reaction. It's
Will
like,
not take
Kilele, who is this one that is flying? Like, how is he going to help me sell my market? Do you understand what I'm saying? So, welcome to the YouNeek Show, where we talk about all things YouNeek Studios, African geekdom, and the business of creators. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the YouNeek Show. I am one of your hosts, Roye Okupe, CEO and founder of YouNeek Studios, co-host. Introduce yourself.
My name is Abaje, and I'm of the Niger Nerds. Massive fan of all things African, especially when we can tell the stories and wear the stories. In coolest ways. Anyway, happy to be here and talking to you guys about. Today we've been doing these series for the YouNeek Show on African history and mythology. And one of the things that I think I love about this is how we dive into some of the facets that inform the storytelling in the comic books and in the soon to be released animation project. So let's dive into something from the past, one of your pet projects, actually your initial launch point, right? We're going to be jumping into that story today and some of the stuff that inspired it.
Yes, we are. We're going to be talking about E.X.O, The Legend of Wally Williams, my very first graphic novel. You can see the shirt here. Boom. I'm the only one that has this gold print, by the way. So
are you serious?
Yes, this is made specially for me as the creator.
Mine almost I think wasn't. Are you sure that was not for sale on the site at one point?
I hope it was not, because I
know I didn't order it.
Now that I'm bragging, I'm trying to think. Was it? No, this one wasn't. This one wasn't. This one wasn't.
Cool.
This one wasn't. Because I told the guy that does the shirt, like, this is just for me. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. So when I come and steal it, we'll anyway, E.X.O for me was one of the first. When I saw that story, I thought, okay, that was actually the story that made me curious. I'm like, okay, Wally Williams. There are a lot of influences from contemporary comic book arts and styles that I saw there. I'm like, okay, this is a very modern, but also true to the tendencies. I mean, even the nuances. Wally Williams, a double alliteration. It's almost like an homage to Stan Lee's style.
Right, right.
That story.
Exactly.
But you did something else, which was you grounded the story in a fictional city, but it was based off of a real city that we all know and in some cases hate. Lagos. So tell us about that. The inspiration for that. The inspiration for the story, where the location where the story takes place.
Yeah. I love doing this segment of African history meets fantasy, because it's an opportunity for me to really tell people where some of these inspirations come from, and these very real inspirations, as well. But I want to take a step back and introduce E.X.O for people that don't know. E.X.O is a superhero sci-fi Afrofuturist story that takes place in Lagos, Nigeria, which is where I was born and raised. And the story follows Wally Williams as he returns home after a 5-year absence, to find the super suit that his father built. But the twist is that Wally doesn't want anything to do with his father. He actually hates his father. But when the city comes under attack from a terrorist, he has to become the hero he was always meant to be, but he can't do that without forgiving his dad first. So I think I mentioned before that a lot of my stories, I like to build these very huge fantastical worlds, but center them around characters. So very character driven story, because that's what I grew up loving. And at the heart of the story, E.X.O is a story about forgiveness, or in this case, unforgiveness, and how that can become an anchor weight, basically, that prevents you from becoming all you are meant to be. I think that's one thing that most, if not all, human beings can relate to. It is, at some point in time, we've had people that have upset us, people that have done certain things, or sometimes, unfortunately, family members, and we have to deal with forgiving them, or deal with the weight of unforgiving them and what that causes. So we get to see how Wale deals with that trauma, comes out of it, and becomes a superhero. which I think is very interesting. So again, like I said, on at face value, it looks cool. It looks like, oh yeah, it's just this guy flying around, but it's a very grounded story that I feel like a lot of people can relate with. In terms of the city, Lagoon City, one of the things that I think confuse people a little bit is that Lagoon City is essentially Lagos. It's the city of Lagos. I just called it Lagoon City. And
Why
it's
did you do that? I can't tell you how many times I wanted. So I was like, okay, so what was the reason for that? Because I mean, we could just go with Lagos, but
yeah, because for me, one thing I wanted to do, I wanted to have something that sounded like New York City, or like, I just saying Lagos City. It sounds weird, like, but Lagos is a city and it's a state at the same time. That's what a lot of
right,
people don't understand that as well. So I wanted people to know that it was a city. And the Lagos Lagoon is actually is something that
a
centralizes
major part of the
yeah, it's a
city.
major part of the city. So that's why I called it Lagoon City. But everything else is like there's Victoria Island there, like all these different things, places that you can actually go and visit right now in Lagos.
Hmm.
They are in the book. I just put that title there to sort of like frame the city, because a lot of action goes on in the city. A lot of the story is centered around the city and things that Wale has to overcome, and the villain as well to tries to do certain things in the city that Wale has to sort of like fight against. So
Yeah.
that's why the name Lagoon City came up. But
I'll
for
tell
me,
you that I
yeah,
wondered when I first saw it, because I saw it,
yeah,
and I thought, I wonder if this is like an alternate reality version of Lagos, where the city gets like the way you have Manhattan in New York, you could have
yeah,
Lagoon City was created in in Lagos itself. But
yeah.
great explanation, though. I get it.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, aside from the name tweak and some minor rearranging of certain districts or whatever, everything remains the same. And to me, I wanted to really, as best as possible through the graphic novel, bring the vibrance of the city of Lagos. Lagos is such a vibrant. If you haven't been there before, it's such a vibrant. The city is essentially like a character on its own.
Oh
Like
yes.
like it's essentially like for good and for bad. The city the city is a character, and I wanted to bring that out in the books as well. It was one of my, like I said, it was one of my, it was not one of my, it was my first book, and at the time people looked at it as a risk, having people speak pidgin English, Yoruba slang. Like I use slangs that you would hear people saying in Lagos today, and that's one of the things that a lot of people actually appreciated when they
Hmm.
read the books.
Oh yeah, because in reading it, you see things that touch, and that's one of the things that has led to a whole lot of authenticity, not just in this art form in
Yeah.
Nigeria and among the Nigerian artists. Even the music boom that we have in Nigeria today and
Hmm.
in Africa and West Africa, a lot of that came because talented people decided to insert their way of speaking
Yeah.
into an international art form.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with EXO.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's something that I'm very proud of. And to take another step back a little bit, just to talk about story and how the culture and the history of Lagos and Nigeria plays into it, is that one of the things you notice very quickly in the book is that people don't necessarily embrace him as a hero immediately.
No.
A lot of times,
It's
in
hard
this,
to, and you blow
yeah,
stuff up.
exactly. Not only that, a lot of times in superhero stories, you have somebody save the day, and like immediately people fall in love with them. But I think there was either a line, or I can't remember, something in the book where Wally does something good, but some of the people that are living in the poorer areas of the city are like, well, what has it done for us? Like,
Mm.
you see this guy flying in a suit, he looks cool, yeah, but it's like, are you going to help us out with the gentrification issue we're dealing with right now?
And
you know a-
just if
and
you know Lagos people, that's exactly what they're like.
that is the exact reaction. It's like,
Will not take
Kilele, who is this one that is flying? Like, how is he going to help me sell my market? Do you understand what I'm saying? So that was one of the things that was very important for me to get across, is that Wale has a very, very hard road to being accepted as the hero of all people in Lagoon
Yeah.
City,
Yes.
because people are dealing with different issues, and there are some socio-political issues that are going on in the city, and some of it mirrors what is going on today in Lagos.
Mhm.
And people are looking at somebody fighting robots on the street, and they don't really care, because it's like, to me, it was, I don't want to call this satire, but it was my own loose way of talking about some of the issues that people go on in Lagos. Like people do certain things and people look at it, well, like that affects only a certain class of people. It doesn't affect me and my issue right now. And Wale has to deal with that and be a hero for all people, not just one segment of people in the city.
Exactly. And one of the better things about how that mindset affects your creativity is that it forces you to look at the history, right? Look at the
Yeah,
culture that you're trying to tell a story in,
yeah,
and find ways to draw those paths from the past through the present into a future, an Afrofuturistic variation of that culture and history. So
yeah.
how did you I guess it must have been a challenge, right, doing that?
It was a huge challenge because one thing, there are two things I wanted to do. I wanted to paint a full picture. Sometimes when people talk about Nigeria in the media, it's usually just focused on the negative sides, whether it's
Right.
like, okay, poverty, corruption, or, 419 or whatever the case may be. And all these things in their forms exist in almost every country.
Yep.
Like, so why are you just highlighting that for, an African country? So for me it was about showing those things, but also showing the good sides
Yeah.
of Lagos, Nigeria, showing people's resilience, showing people's ingenious, showing our culture. Like, and again, like I said, Nigerians are very resilient people. They're
Hmm.
also very intelligent, very, very intelligent people, as well. And we have also beautiful scenery. We have great places to visit, great tourist attractions, as well. And so that was one of the things I wanted to do is paint a full picture. The second thing I wanted to do is give a reality, because obviously this is a fictional story that I was telling, that if we got certain things right in Lagos, what would that look like? Right? If we got, for instance, just one thing, like, constant electricity, like just that one change, like what would that look like
Yeah.
and you get to see that in Lagoon City. So I wanted to paint a realistic picture, but also give a sliver of hope in terms of, if we get one or two things right, this is what we can see. So E.X.O is both a love letter to current day Lagos, Nigeria, as well as the Nigeria that I feel like as Nigerians we all aspire to see, us go to hopefully in the future, as we try to fix some of the issues in the country.
Honestly, I mean, anybody who's lived in that part of the world can relate. And on the one hand, you're not just telling the story of the past, you're also painting a positive future, right?
Yeah,
An aspirational future. And
yeah,
hopefully we look at that and think, if EXO inspires the right kids, the right young people, even the right older
hmm,
people to
yeah,
think we can do this and finally do it,
yeah,
then that will be a major, major success. A
yep,
major, major success.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
on that note, I think, thanks. We've touched on quite a few things here. We've touched on who EXO is. We touched on the city he's from,
Hmm,
Lagos,
hmm,
aka Lagoon City, right?
exactly, one and
I
the
mean,
same.
that's like Lagos. Lagos is like a character here playing a superhero. So he's put on his Lagoon City
Lagoon
outfit.
City Cape. That's it. I love. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to
Yeah.
steal that reference.
No worries, no worries. Just send me my residuals. And and also the fact that we're staying true to the actual history of the city,
Yeah.
but tweaking it a little bit to make a really cool future, right?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome, awesome stuff. And if people don't know, you can get EXO being the first out of the stable of Unique Studios. You can
Yeah.
still get access to that book everywhere. You can
Yeah.
go online. There's even, dare I say it, an old animation,
Oh yes, there
an old
is.
animated short that was
Yeah.
done
Yeah.
back in the day, which
Yeah.
Roy may or may not want you to see nowadays, considering considering the level of quality that they're pursuing. But I mean, great things start with small beginnings. So
Exactly.
you want to go back and get a full spectrum of this, go look up EXO. Tell them where they can find it.
Uniquestudios.com. And you can also follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and what's the last one? I don't even know what that miss one. Facebook, yes. You can find us. You can find us on those channels. But I want to give a quick shout out to Dark Horse Comics. They've been supporting the Unique brand, heavily with as much resources as they possibly can. EXO Volume 1 and 2. They're out now, in stores and online. I want to encourage everybody that has access to a bookstore, a comic book shop, Target, wherever it is, go in there, grab the books, because your support is what keeps us going. Like literally, it's the lifeline of Unique Studios. So please continue to support the books, enjoy them, and I guess yeah, that's it. We'll see you when we see you.
Yes, we will. I remain Jay Abaje. You can catch me at Nuru, the Nerd Guru, on social media. You can also find me at the Niger Nerds, the rest of my crew there as well, the Niger Nerds on all social media, thenigernerds.com. Y'all have a fantastic day.
All right, guys, take it easy.